Hey everybody, it's Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Hawk Blogger. Coming to you live from the VMAC after a Friday press conference that was eventful. Somewhat to be expected. There was going to be some news today, was not positive what it was going to be, but Mike Macdonald has just announced that Connor Williams, the starting center for the Seahawks, has retired. He retired for what Macdonald called personal reasons. Did not want to get into the specifics. Wished him well, thanked him for what he had done here, and kind of left it at that. So lots of implications for this. And to recap for people that are just coming to this saying like, what's going on? Well, let's rewind all the way back to the beginning. Connor Williams was a near Pro Bowl center for the Miami Dolphins the last couple of years. He had what was a very serious knee injury late last season, and was by most expected to miss this entire season. But late in the offseason, around the June or July timeframe, his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, came out and said that Connor Williams had the most miraculous recovery he had ever seen, and that he was not only going to play this season, but he was going to be ready to start week 1. Well, Drew Rosenhaus turned out to be correct. Connor Williams signed in August with the Seahawks, immediately became their starting center, and at 27 years old, there was some real hope that even though it was a one-year deal, that this could turn into something more long-term. What transpired since then was that Connor Williams played okay at center. He did not play to the level he had in Miami. He had not played nearly as poorly as I think some folks had indicated. He'd been an okay center. I'd say slightly above average center. He was a veteran who also, knew what to do on the line, adjust protection calls. And for a very young Seahawks offensive line, that was something that was valuable along the way. There then started to be some issues with snaps. Connor Williams came to Seattle with this challenge. He was known to have problems snapping the football when the Cowboys tried to put him at center. He then had continuing problems snapping the football in Miami with the Dolphins. His excellent play overall just kind of made that a annoying part of what he brought to the team, but not something that overshadowed how good of a player he had been for the Dolphins. Well, those problems started to creep up for the Seahawks this season. I can remember was, I want to say it was the Bills game where the Seahawks had a play inside the 6-yard line where Connor Williams snapped it over Geno Smith's head. They lost 20, 30 yards on the play. They later had a play where Connor Williams stepped on Geno Smith's foot or something to that effect on a 4th down play call inside the 6 again. They didn't get any points on that possession. There were additional snapping problems against the Rams, and some of these snaps were his issue, where he was snapping it too high. There was more than I can count where Geno Smith was having to catch the snap outside the frame of his body with one hand. So even though those were not where you lost yards, they were plays that caused some problems. But there was also some plays where Geno Smith did not seem ready for the snap when it was sent to him. One went through his hands. It looked like it came earlier than he expected. And there was a couple others like that as well, including all the way back to the Detroit game on Monday night, where Geno Smith acknowledged that Connor Williams snapped the ball late in the game when the play clock was running out, even though Geno Smith intentionally was going to take the delay of game instead of snapping it because he didn't think they were ready for the play. And at that stage in the game, that was more important than just getting the play off. Connor Williams decided on his own to snap the ball, and resulted in a nothing play that was a really crucial problem, a crucial failed play for the Seahawks at that point. all through the season, there seemed to be a little bit of operational issues with Connor Williams and the snap count relative to what Geno Smith was expecting, the time frame. There seemed to be, again, some snaps where he would snap it before Geno Smith was expecting it. So this was a combination of some physical errors and some, I don't know if they were mental errors or just miscommunications or just not being on the same page with his quarterback. And now Connor will be ready to retire. Now, we know the details. We don't know the reasons why. There'll be all sorts of conjecture. We'll have to wait. I assume Connor Williams or his representation, Drew Rosenhaus, will say something like this, whether it's today or they will come out. Adam Schefter tends to be the guy that tweets out a lot of the news. If anything comes from Schefter. To Michigan. Ola Timmy from University of Michigan will take over, and he came into training camp expected to be the starting center. And sorry, people are saying that things are breaking up. Let me see if I can change something here to help with that. 1 second, folks. I'm going to try to change my internet connection. All right. Hopefully that is better. Let me know if it is. So let me just say that again in case that did not come through. Ola Oluwatimi will be back. As the starting center. He entered training camp as the expected starting center. He lost that job to Connor Williams when he signed. And so what that now means is he'll get his shot. Mike Macdonald was asked who was going to, if this was a competition between Ola Oluwatimi and with Jalen Sundell, who's a rookie undrafted free agent. Mike Macdonald said no. This is Olu's job, presumably for the rest of the season. That is what's going to happen, and that's who's going to start on Sunday and presumably the rest of the year. From there, that means Jalen Sundell now moves up to being the backup center as opposed to third string. And there's been times during the year that he already was the backup center ahead of Olu Oluwatimi. There's been games where Oluwatimi has been inactive and Sundell has been active, meaning that if Connor Williams had been sidelined for whatever reason, it would have been Jalen Sundell who stepped in. The reason we've heard from coaches so far about why that was the case was not necessarily that Sundell had jumped Oluwatimi as the center on the center depth chart, but that Jalen Sundell had position flexibility. He could back up at the tackle spot as well as the center spot. And so that gave him an advantage over Oluwatimi for game day activations. Now that they're just saying who's going to be the starter, they're going with Oluwatimi, and Sundell will be the backup there. As far as other implications or other things to keep in mind, we do know that Mike Macdonald, Ryan Grubb have both acknowledged, I asked them earlier this week, whether or not they asked or considered moving Connor Williams to guard and having Oluwatimi play center. And they acknowledged that they had considered that, decided not to do it. Now, you can make some guesses about whether or not, and apologies, there's going to be a car driving by, it might be a little loud. You can make some guesses about whether or not that's going to have contributed, whether that contributed to Connor Williams' decision to walk away. We have no reason to know that that's the case. People will, try to put together that might have been a contributing factor. Not sure. Really, honestly, not sure. Connor Williams had played guard. He came into the league as a tackle with the Cowboys, moved to guard, and then eventually to center. We do know that Connor Williams preferred to play center, and that was part of the reason the Seahawks position was appealing to him. So that's big news there. I guess where I'm standing on this, as I'm coming to you here from the VMAC, again, I'm Brian Nemhauser, if you haven't seen me before, is that this was not a change that Mike Macdonald wanted to see. It's not a change Ryan Grubb wanted to see. Mike Macdonald acknowledged that this was a surprise. And when you've got someone like Connor Williams, who is coming off a serious injury, made a big return, like a miraculous return, to use Drew Rosenhaus's words, and then he has his bye week, I just want to acknowledge that there's also the potential here that what happened was he was not able to play to the level that he wanted to in past years, and that he spent the bye week with people he cares about, got away from football, and he might have just felt like, I don't want to do this anymore. I think everyone thinks about sports athletes, professional athletes differently than everyone else, but I think everybody's relationship with work has changed pretty drastically since COVID. And I think people, especially those that have made a lot of money like Connor Williams has, have more power to decide what they want to do with their lives. And he just may not want to play the rest of this year. So it could be as innocuous as that. It could be all the way to there's problems with the team. It could be that he didn't like it here. Like, there's a million reasons it could be. We don't know. All we know is it's personal reasons and that he is not expected to come back. So Seahawks got to move forward. For an offensive line that has been really challenged, this is another challenge to overcome, but it also represents a real opportunity for Oluwatimi, who basically was on a track to being a career backup. He's now going to get a chance to prove that he should be a starting center. He has started one game before as a rookie. He did reasonably well. I believe that was the Cleveland Browns game. I'm not 100% sure, so I'll double check that later. Also, this is a chance for the Seahawks to find out not if Oluwatimi is going to be the next great center, but if he can even just be a league average, acceptable player at the position. That would be a big thing to know heading into the offseason, because, whether it's him or Jalen Sundell or someone else, they've got a lot of things to patch up on that offensive line. Just having one position, in addition to Charles Cross, kind of stabilized would be a big deal. Related to that, I did talk to Abe Lucas. I'm going to post that interview, a locker room interview. That'll be on patreon.com/hawkblogger once I get home. So keep an eye out for that. It was great to catch up with Abe Lucas, hear about his return. Coach Macdonald acknowledged that Abe Lucas is going to play in this game, his first game back after a long rehab and really a couple of years of dealing with injuries. So that's going to be something to look forward to for him and for the team. Keep an eye out for that interview on patreon.com/hawkblogger. The team will stick with Anthony Bradford at right guard. We heard about that earlier this week. Also, we got a little bit of an update about Rayshawn Jenkins. It sounds like there's a chance that he may be back when he's eligible to come off IR next week. I saw Uchenna Nwosu doing some on-field rehab before practice, and I'll post that video later. But Coach Macdonald said they don't have any additional timetable for when Uchenna Nwosu will be back, even though he's already eligible to come off IR. They're just going to continue to let him rehab until he's ready to come back. Other things that we heard from Coach Macdonald today, I'm trying to think if there's anything that is worth bringing up that I haven't already. I saw some folks mention that maybe Nick Bosa has been ruled out. Can someone confirm if that's true? I know that there was some question there. I think there was also some question about Trent Williams, who has missed practice all week. So I went live as soon as I could, knowing that I might miss the 49ers practice report. But if anybody has that information, let me know. It would be good to hear. Otherwise, Nick Bosa, what I heard is that he actually practiced today. and that he was in limited participation. Don't know if that means that he is going to play, but we will find out. It sounds like Kevin Givens, who is a defensive tackle for the 49ers, who played quite a bit early in the year. I think he had 3.5 sacks, is not looking like he is going to play in this game, but the 49ers should be getting back Yatir Gross-Matos, defensive end, so we will see about what's going on there. It sounds like people are saying Bosa, Kittle, and Williams are all questionable. Bosa has practiced all week, so I'd expect him to play. It seems like Bosa and Williams will likely go as well. They're probably just resting those guys and taking their time to hopefully get better, but we'll see. So again, recapping for folks that are just joining, Connor Williams, the starting center for the Seahawks, is no longer the starting center. He is officially retired. Do not know, like, retirement implies he's not going to play for another team, not just this year, but ever. We will see if that is true. We'll see what we hear from Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, as well as from Connor Williams later. What that means is that Olu Oluwatimi will be the starting center for the Seahawks for the foreseeable future. Jalen Sundell becomes the backup center, and that's really the news of the day. Then you add to that Abe Lucas is officially going to be back this week. He is not on the injury report. Mike Macdonald said that he is going to play. They have a plan for his snaps. I would not assume that Abe Lucas is going to play every snap in this game, but I think they're going to get him on the field and see how things progress. And as I mentioned, I will have an interview with Abe Lucas that I just did in the locker room with him up on patreon.com/hawkblogger later today. So just wanted to get you guys the news and the information as soon as possible. Big changes for the Seahawks. Tyrell Dodson waived earlier this week. Connor Williams retires. A very turbulent return from the bye week for the Seahawks. The only thing that has been constant has been change for that. So appreciate all of you. I will ask everybody, make sure you please keep politics out of chat. We're here to talk football. Let's not talk about anything else other than football, and be kind to one another. So I appreciate you heeding that. And from there, I will just say I'll be back tomorrow morning with Real Jeff Simmons as we talk about all of this and what's going on. And appreciate all of you guys for giving the show a like, clicking subscribe, joining as a member if you haven't already, going over to patreon.com/hawkblogger and doing that as well. And from there, let's see what happens this week with the Seahawks. This is a huge game, and if they can get a win, everything feels a lot different. If they cannot, we'll see what changes continue as the Seahawks could, go forward in this first year with Mike Macdonald, Ryan Grubb, Adam Dirty, and with John Schneider as head of all of it. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you all later. I'm Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at HawkBlogger. Take care.